Hi, my name's Ashley Hope Dark. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 10 years now, starting off in long-term care, in which I had hospice experience, and then also transitioning to home care, hospice, and then now the last 3+ years have been doing labor and delivery, recovery, and postpartum.
How often, if you're working a week schedule, are you encountering a fetal demise that you're caring for a baby that's died?
Probably once a month.
Once a month. So not too often, but
Yeah.
often enough. If it's that much time passing, is it kind of fresh each time rather than routine?
It can be. I mean, for me, I'm the nurse that if I'm on shift, I'm the nurse that takes that on. So it's not quite as, it's more fresh for me. But yeah, sometimes we might have two in a week though. And then so it's just, but on average, I would say once a month, but yeah.
So what are you seeing right now that has maybe changed over the last few years when it comes to a fetal demise? Are parents holding babies longer? Are they keeping them in the room rather than going down to the morgue? What is kind of the standard right now when it comes to...
Yes, we're seeing that a lot more, and I think that not only has to do with the parents wanting that time with their child, but also us as the nursing staff and the providers really encouraging that, because I think we're seeing how that helps the grief process. We've seen it enough that we understand that it's actually a really good thing for moms to be able to, and that's when you ask moms later on about if there's any regrets they had, that's usually the number one, is if they didn't hold their baby, if they didn't have that time to say goodbye. So we really, even though I sometimes have moms that don't want the baby right away, I'll kind of very gently continue to try and encourage that mom to hold her baby, and 9 times out of 10 I can get them to do that, and they are appreciative of that, and they seem to be thankful for that.
A lot of cuddle cots has been a big discussion. You and I kind of talked about that. Some hospitals have, it's the cooling cot that babies can be held in, so that kind of helps cool down their body temperature, preserving the baby while it's being held for longer by the parents. And I know that they don't have them at the hospital you're at, but you use cooling packs and things to kind of do that as well, because as parents are holding them longer, they do decompose very quickly, the babies do, and so I know that that's kind of been a big discussion that's been coming up. What other new things? Are you seeing any new things that hospitals are doing to encourage, like photography or anything to kind of encapsulate that time for a mom and dad with that baby?
Yeah, so we have these boxes, and they come and go, and we kind of order them. What are they called? They're like Oliver's Gift, I believe. I believe it's Oliver. But it's a baby it was a demise baby. And the parents and grandparents, they make these boxes. So we get things donated. So we have these specific boxes. And then also we have lots of blankets and lots of special outfits. We have wedding gowns that are made into little gowns to wear, even like little tuxes for little boys. But yes, I'm seeing more them staying in the room. We're providing pictures. We used to have a special camera designated for it. We don't anymore, but most of the time we get the parents to take pictures, or we use their phone and ask them permission, and of course they're okay with it, and we take pictures with their phone. But we try and provide, we do footprints, handprints, anything. If they have hair long enough, we do a lock of hair. What else do we do? We fill out like unofficial kind of birth certificates. We still measure them and weigh them, and so
Nice.
you've got something that shows this is how much your baby weighed, this is how long they were. So you have those statistics. One of the the most simplest things, but things that really in my own personal experience was nice, was even though I did go home with my baby, I got to bring a teddy bear home. They gave me a teddy bear. It was a good sized teddy bear, almost like the size of my baby, and I still have that. And when I had my son, that's his teddy bear, and so that was really, really nice, because a lot of these parents, they're coming in the hospital thinking they're going home with a baby, and they're not. So
Right.
at least they have something to hold. It's
As
not,
they go home.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
and that's,
as you're helping the moms on the floor, what is your encounter with the funeral homes? When they come to get the babies, are they bringing them from the hospital room? Are they coming to, or are you sending them to the morgue?
they're not. They come to the morgue to get them. I've never one particular situation. The mom really wanted to deliver her baby to Kari, so we coordinated to where it wasn't at like the front door. It was like kind of a side door of the hospital, and the mom, we put her in a wheelchair and she carried her baby, and we went that way, and she delivered the baby to the actual nursing home, so her baby never had to go to the morgue. So that is one situation in particular, because a lot of moms don't feel comfortable, even though we know, that once they go to the funeral home, they are put in, like a refrigerated setting. But I think for these moms to, some of them, it's very hard for them to leave their babies in a hospital morgue. And I know for me personally, that was something that I didn't want. I didn't want to think of, leaving my baby at the hospital in that place with, kind of everybody else that
Right.
is in there. And so, so that was a particular situation that we do. So we try to accommodate as much as we possibly can within the policies and procedures of, the institution in which we're working.
So, as you're helping the moms on the floor, what is your encounter with the funeral homes? When they come to get the babies, are they bringing them from the hospital room? Are they coming to, or are you sending them to the morgue?
They're not. They come to the morgue to get them. I've never one particular situation. The mom really wanted to deliver her baby to Kari, so we coordinated to where it wasn't at like the front door. It was like kind of a side door of the hospital, and the mom, we put her in a wheelchair and she carried her baby, and we went that way, and she delivered the baby to the actual nursing home, so her baby never had to go to the morgue. So that is one situation in particular, because a lot of moms don't feel comfortable, even though we know, that once they go to the funeral home, they are put in, like a refrigerated setting. But I think for these moms to, some of them, it's very hard for them to leave their babies in a hospital morgue. And I know for me personally, that was something that I didn't want. I didn't want to think of, leaving my baby at the hospital in that place with, kind of everybody else that
Right.
is in there. And so, so that was a particular situation that we do. So we try to accommodate as much as we possibly can within the policies and procedures of, the institution in which we're working.
Right.
I was full term, so actually I was like 41 weeks. I had went into labor, and she died. I was in early labor at home, and she died while in early labor at home.
Okay. So she never took a breath outside
Nope.
of you. And so you went to the hospital, delivered at the hospital, but you took your baby home.
Yes, I wanted to, even though she'd never taken a breath, she was, gone before I delivered her. It was really important for me to bring her home so that she could at least be in our home for, and we were only home for maybe 45 minutes. I delivered her at probably 6 p.m. the previous night and had spent the night with her, and then went home that morning. So, after, I think it would have been maybe 12, 18 hours, and I could tell, 45 minutes was good for, for having. At that point, actually, I didn't really know about the cold packs, and I don't think the nurses that were there, really kind of knew a lot, so that would be where one of those systems would be really helpful. But I actually held her all night, so even if she did have cold packs, I probably wouldn't have liked them anyway, because they would have made me cold. But when I brought her home, she was here for 45 minutes, and then their lips start to turn, you can kind of start see a change, and it's time to to go to the funeral home. But then we delivered her to the funeral home ourselves. That was really important to me, and that was I think part of the grieving process for me, to know that I took care of my baby even in the end. So devoting all your attention to that family, and like where I'm at, that is one of the things that, of course, acuity always takes precedence, but right below that is the mom that lost your baby. That is the number one person on the floor, you know, down from acuity level, because that person deserves to have all the attention that they possibly need and all the support. We do get different people from throughout the hospital, the social worker, the spiritual care, you know, to try and help us with that, with all the support processes and just things that we need to get done on the paper level, but really trying to get that done as fast as possible and get it out of the way so that, you know, they have time to, you know, grieve, and to, it's still, even once they leave, it's not real, right. But to just make their hospital stay the best it can be despite the situation. I think that's the most important thing. I, as a nurse that takes care of these patients, I've even been a charge nurse and insisted on taking care of that patient, because it was the most appropriate. You know, I know how to take care of these people, and designating, not saying that some nurses would be bad for someone, it's just some nurses are better at it than others, you know. With me having a personal experience, I feel like I'm the best person to take care of this person, and I can tell too when I pick and choose when I, you know, when I share my story, depending on how I feel like it's going to be received. But most of the time, well, whenever I do share my story, I share my story most of the time. These moms are very appreciative of it, and I can tell it helps them knowing that they're not alone. So some of our nurses have had miscarriages. I've had stillborns, but mostly miscarriages, and so those are nurses I feel like can have that empathy for the patient and really take the best care. There are some nurses that have never experienced that, who are just kind souls that are capable. Yeah. They're all kind souls, but are really capable of giving that kind of support, because it really is difficult sometimes. Sometimes you just don't know what to do or say, and you know, but really I think the biggest thing is being that support and making that patient number one as much as we possibly can, helping them get through this difficult time. I personally remember it being so tragic, but yet I had the best possible care I think I could have, and the nurses were angels. I went up and visited those nurses afterwards, because they touched my heart. So, you know, it's amazing what good things can come out of such a traumatic, you know, bad thing. So.